Hey guys, happy Homebrew Wednesday for October 23rd, 2013. Now what I have here is a pint of my last all grain. I don't know if you can see that or not, but besides the chill haze on the glass, it is mostly clear. Okay, I didn't cold crash it or anything like that. I'm going to wait for my next all grain batch to do that. All I did with this was I used a Warflock tablet during the boil, something I had previously not done, and something else I previously haven't done was I did a secondary. I let it sit in the primary fermenter for 14 days, and then I racked it into a carboy, and I let it sit for another week, and then very, very carefully racked it into the keg, and it's been in the keg about a week and a half. And I have to say, I'm pretty happy with the clarity. It's definitely carbonated. In fact, it might be just a little too carbonated. But I like fizzy beers anyway. What I did was I put it in my refrigerator, and the temperature of my fridge fluctuates between 36 and 40 degrees, depending on the outside temperature, or the temperature of my bar. Obviously it's colder at night now than during the day. And I put it in the refrigerator overnight to get it nice and cold. Took it out of the fridge. I force carbonated it under 20 psi of pressure. I put it back in the fridge, let it sit overnight to settle down. I bled that pressure off, and then set my CO2 tank on it under 12 psi. And right before I tapped this, I turned it down to 7 psi, 7 or 8 serving pressure. So it's doesn't really have that much of a head on it, but that's probably because my serving pressure is a little too low. It does have really nice lacing on the top. I can smell the hops. Fuggle hops, they're my favorite. So, cheers guys. Oh, it's cold. It's very cold. Actually a lot colder than I would prefer. Sensitive teeth. But anyway, I can taste the hops, but more importantly, I can taste the malt profile underneath it. The American 2 roll and the Crystal 60. It's got a little caramel sweetness, which balances the hop bitterness out perfectly. Now this is also the beer I was complaining about in my last Homebrew Wednesday video. I was shooting for a target starting gravity of 1060. And I built my hop, I built my hop additions and quantities around that. I was aiming for a IBU bitterness of 43, but because my efficiency was so bad, and the starting gravity was really 1042, the IBUs are more like 54, and which still isn't really that bad, and I thought that would be a little too bitter for my taste, but it really isn't. It's got a little astringency to it, but mostly hop flavors with the malt profile balancing it out nicely. And if I had to rate this on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 6, only because the poor efficiency. This is coming in at 4% alcohol, so not only is it tasty, it's incredibly sessionable as well. I don't really have anything going on homebrew wise. I haven't brewed anything in 2 weeks. Reason for that is I've got 10 gallons of homebrew on tap in the refrigerator. The Mutton's Mexican Cerveza is also done. It's kegged and carbonated. I tried that yesterday. Now, if you remember, I made that strictly kit and kilo. Since it was the first time I ever tried a Mutton's kit, I wanted to taste it without any augmentations or, you know, additions to it. I didn't want to add dry malt extract. I didn't want to do a hop tea. I didn't want to dry hop it because I just wanted to see what the kit tasted like. And it's not bad. You can taste, it's got like a slightly sweet taste to it from the 2.5 pounds of dextrose that I used. It doesn't really have a whole lot of hop flavor or profile. I mean, it's a Mexican cerveza anyway, it's not supposed to, I guess. I would say it would be a lot better had I used 2 or 3 pounds of dry malt extract, but as far as hopped kits go, you know, Muntins is pretty good. Might not necessarily be as good as the Cooper's kits I'm used to, but you know, now that I've tried it and I like it, when I go to the homebrew store, you know, Cooper's, Muntins, I'll just get whatever's on sale. The one thing I have been doing, homebrew wise, is growing and cultivating yeast. And at least on that front, I think I have myself covered. I've got dry packets of US-05, US-04, and Nottingham yeast. As far as my wine yeast go, I've got 3 packets of EC1118 and 3 packets of KI1116, both very fine yeasts for wine. The EC1118 is a champagne yeast. The KI1116 is a wine yeast. But as far as yeasts go, I took a hint from Jason Davies, and when I made the Mexican cerveza kit, since it's a clean beer, what I call a clean beer, meaning there's no, you know, hop oils and, you know, residues from the full boil with the hop additions and dry hopping and all that. I harvested and cleaned the yeast out of it, and I put it in this jar. Now it's milky because I just transferred it about an hour ago. I also got a 6-pack of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and I harvested the yeast out of those bottles, put it in a starter, and I have that one right here. My next beer is going to be an all grain, and it's going to be another American Pale Ale, but I'm going to look on the internet and I'm going to find a Sierra Nevada clone, and I will be using this yeast. I'm told you have to be careful when you're, you know, harvesting you know, commercial bottled beer yeast, because a lot of breweries, they use a primary fermenting yeast, and then they use a yeast that's specifically for, you know, bottle conditioning and priming their beer. But I found a list on the internet, like a partial list or a mostly complete list of, I think it was 35 or 40 bottle conditioned beers, and the list, you know, told you if the beer was bottled with like a priming strain of yeast or their primary fermenting strain. And from the list, they said Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is one of the beers where they used their primary fermenting yeast. So that's what I'm going to use. And if it's only the priming yeast, also from what I hear is the yeast strain isn't that bad and most people like it anyway. And this bottle of yeast is the US-05 that I grew in my original starter. This has never been placed in a fermenting bucket. It's never fermented the yeast. This is just, you know, what I would call the mother culture. Okay, I'm going to keep this in the refrigerator. As I said, my next batch will be with the Sierra Nevada harvested yeast, and the next kit I do will be with my harvested and washed US-05 yeast. If either one of these things fail to ferment out the batch, well, I can always pitch this, and as a double backup, like I said, I've got the US-05 and US-04 dried packets in the refrigerator, and as a last resort, I'll just pitch a new packet of yeast. That's, oh, a couple of shout outs, real quick before I go. A couple of guys gave me a shout out last week. Okay, Orem Wines. He does homemade winemaking videos. He doesn't have a lot of videos. He's relatively new at it, but to be completely honest, his wine videos are better than my wine videos. So go ahead, check out his channel, watch his videos. By all means, subscribe. Okay, another one is Ian Hunter. Okay, I've seen a couple of his videos, and he seems like a righteous guy as well. So check out his channel and subscribe to him too. Right, they're both top-notch guys. And a special shout out to Brandon from Turtle Feather Brewery. He's up in Canada. We're not going to hold that against him, but he's a pretty cool guy. At least, from the videos I've seen and the conversations we've had online. The cool thing about him was, I don't know if it was like his first 7 or 9 videos or something like that about homebrew. He was never actually in the video, which I think was a completely cool concept. It's like, who's Turtle Feather Brewery? Home brewer, international man of mystery. And then he went and mucked it all up by filming himself. So, but anyway, he's still a really cool guy, and the reason I want to give him a shout out is he's sending me some beer mail. He's sending me a local beer in his area, and he's sending me a homebrew IPA, which honestly I can't wait to try. So Brandon, thanks for the mail, buddy. And I mean, if it's outrageously expensive, which all international shipping is, don't really worry about it. But if it shows up here, I'll do a special beer review just for that. Anyway, like I said, I don't really have a lot going on this week. I'm just trying to empty out my kegs so I have a reason to brew more beer, playing with yeast. So, as always, guys, I hope your week this far has been good. I hope the rest of your week could be even better. Take care of yourselves. Cheers. 17.